One of the most influential names in modern rap, but now the Grammy-winning Atlanta-based artist is at the center of a racketeering or RICO trial. Jeffery Lamar Williams, known professionally as Young Thug, accused of leading a violent street gang alongside other artists associated with his record label, who faced additional charges such as murder and armed robbery, many of which settled with plea deals. To break down the latest, a friend of the stream, court and legal affairs reporter, Meghann Cuniff, joins us now. Meghann, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So if you could help us catch up, a lot going on here, always is with a RICO case. The core of the indictment here, the accusation is that Young Thug's record label, YSL, is a front or is simultaneously a violent street gang in Atlanta?
Exactly. I think they'd say simultaneously that he is leading an organized crime syndicate, that he acts as a record label, but actually works as a criminal gang in the Atlanta area. So, you know, like you said, RICO cases are always big, and I think sprawling would be a good word to describe this. And I did see the New York Times describe it as epic too. And I think this is an unprecedented prosecution for Fulton County, and it's also an unprecedented prosecution for the hip hop world to have a rap star in a record label basically on trial like this.
Yeah, it's such a well-known rap star, and the New York Times is pretty staid in its use of adjectives. So, yeah, calling it epic says something. You've covered a lot of high-profile cases. This one took nearly 10 months to sit the jury. Am I right on that? 10 months to sit the jury?
Yeah, and that was so highly unusual.
I've got a question just beyond that, but I just wanted to make sure I had that fact right. 10 months to sit a jury. Then Young Thug's lawyer filed for a mistrial on day one. You've posted some interesting quotes from both the defense and the prosecution in this case. What do you make of I guess what's turning out to be kind of a mess right out of the gate?
Yeah, it did start off not very smoothly for the prosecution. And I think a lot of the times in trials, we'll see mistrial motions made that maybe don't have the best chance of being granted. And it's the defense attorney's way of kind of preserving the record and making sure that their objections are preserved for perhaps some kind of appeal. But what was so unusual about this mistrial request, 20 minutes into the opening statement, was that the prosecutor herself, while she objected to the mistrial, she did acknowledge that perhaps the jury could get an extra instruction and be told that what she's saying and what's being presented on the screen in her opening statement is not evidence, to try to make up for the fact that the defense was complaining that some of the things she was putting on the screen were not accurate. Just to have that kind of fumble right out the gate just seemed unusual, and also perhaps a sign of things to come.
Yeah, may not portend things very well. This is a lot of controversy over prosecutors using Young Thug's lyrics against him as evidence. We've actually seen that here in Chicago, where rap music is also taking the spotlight in the murder trial of Clayton Weekly, known as FBG Duck. Some legal experts and other musicians condemn this tactic. It does seem like a slippery slope. Others say, hey, you do a diss track, someone ends up dead. I mean, if that's, it's a gold mine of circumstantial evidence. Thoughts on this? How it's going to play out?
Yeah, like you said, it's a really controversial use, but it also has a lot of precedent to it. And I saw it in the case of rapper Tory Lanez when he was convicted of shooting the other rapper, Megan Thee Stallion, in Los Angeles. The jury never actually heard his rap lyrics, but the judge made it clear and told his lawyer that if Tory were to testify, any songs he's written about Megan or about the shooting would be fair game. So there is actually a lot of precedent for lyrics coming in that are connected to the crimes. It's just in this RICO case with Young Thug, there are so many lyrics coming in, and I think the defense is arguing that there are real tenuous connections between the alleged crimes and these lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, because in knowing what he raps about, you could almost take any lyric from any song and say, this has, I mean, because RICO is so broad. I mean, we're not talking one incident, one person, so on and so forth. Interesting how to see how that will play out. Before I let you go, the first witness was taking the stand today. Prosecutors have lifted hundreds of other possible witnesses from other rappers, music execs, police, and more. This is topic A in Atlanta, but really has national ramifications for fans of the genre and those in the game, which employs tens of thousands of people.
It does. This is a closely watched case within the hip hop industry and beyond, and just the use of the RICO statute. And then, of course, this was going to get so much attention no matter what, but it's kind of added another layer of intrigue and perhaps attracted some viewers that might not have been paying attention to this case otherwise. Is that Fulton County, Georgia, and RICO that's the same county and the same charge that former President Donald Trump is facing for his alleged election crimes in Georgia. So I think a lot of people are looking at this prosecution as kind of a window into how the prosecution could proceed against President Trump. So I think it's a little unusual for some people to think of Young Thug and Donald Trump both facing the same charge in the same county, but it's what's happening right now, and it's really brought another layer of intrigue to an already pretty interesting case.
Yeah, interesting. And just a side note here, so RICO, when people typically think RICO, that's usually federal level charges. Is the Young Thug case, is that also a state court issue? Because the Trump case is obviously a state court, and state courts, the county v. a certain person, don't usually do RICO.
Yeah, it is definitely a state court prosecution. So I have experience covering a RICO case in federal court in Los Angeles against the Mongols Motorcycle Club. That was definitely a federal case. I've never experienced a RICO prosecution in state court. So that's unusual. And I think it just says something about the aggressiveness of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, that they're willing to take on complex cases like this. Yeah, remarkable. And always remarkable insight from you, court and legal affairs reporter Meghann Cuniff. Thank you so much for your time. Let's stay in touch on this one.